do I believe that XPR is worth it for me to buy as of right now? Even though I can't speak on anyone's behalf, and even though nothing I say is financial advice, personally for me, I would say yes, because I do view this as something that could very well have a bright future, even despite the space not doing the best as of right now. Because if we take a look at XPR, we all know that it's pretty much focused on the same markets as Ripple and Stellar. However, the key about this, right, or should I say the special thing about it, at least for me, is the fact that its market cap is very low. And it's basically kind of like Ripple and Stellar, but then again, the market cap is very low. Keep in mind, if XPR were to go to the price of 25 cents, which is my price target for it during this bull run, that right there is around an 86x from here. Now, some people may be thinking, whoa, that's not possible because at that point, the market cap would be way too high. Now, personally speaking, I don't view it that way because if it were to go to that price again, 25 cents, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $7 billion. I mean, wow. Take a look at something like XRP as of right now, which even despite the pullback when it comes to the space overall, it still has a market cap that is well beyond $100 billion. I'm not saying that XPR is going to go to a $30 or $20 billion market cap or $15 billion. Not saying that. I'm just saying hypothetically, let's say around $7 billion in market cap during a fully fledged bull run. I just don't see why that's too crazy. And keep in mind, we've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion in market cap back in 2021. That year, we also saw Shiba Inu reach around $40 billion. I don't think this is too crazy. I don't think it's too much to ask for. And again, I really do believe that if, let's say, this bull run does really go into fifth gear, and I think hypothetically the bull run is still far from over, but even despite that, let's say that starts happening. Let's say XRP starts going to the price of $10, $15, and let's say XLM goes to the price of $5 and $10, let's say, right? At that point, again, with XPR at the price of 25 cents, would that be too much to ask for? I don't think so, really. This is just the way you take a look at it. Now, of course, some people may be thinking, but yeah, XPR has bad fundamentals. Well, I'm going to disagree with that because, again, if we take a look at the XPR network, it's a proof-of-stake layer 1 blockchain. Now, people may be thinking, okay, who cares about that? It may not seem that interesting, at least at first glance, but if you take a look at the market it's focused on, again, payments market, global trade and finance, this is basically the exact same markets that Ripple and Stellar is focused on. Not only is the name very similar to XRP, again, when it comes to the case of XPR, but it's pretty much focused on the same markets. It's a no-brainer for me. If I believe in the future of Ripple and Stellar, and if I believe that it will do well in the future, which I hypothetically do believe that, why would I not basically believe in a miniature version of that? It just makes no sense. It's like, for instance, if I like eating oranges, why wouldn't I like orange juice? It's only logical that I do. That's just the way to take a look at it. But even besides that point, when I take a look at something like XPR, it's a no-brainer for me because, again, it's just basically a smaller version of XLM or XRP, which I don't mind, by the way. I think that, if anything, is something that I do look forward to. And not to mention, the XPR network could very well be used for something like, let's say, for instance, DeFi, aka decentralized finance, and as well as gaming. Now, this has been alleged. Now, why is this good news, in my opinion? It's because if you take a look at blockchain gaming, the market is predicted to reach over $300 billion by 2030, according to Granby Research. Not to mention, we take a look at the DeFi market, which also, yet again, according to Granby Research, by 2030, is expected to be worth, again, its market size, over $200 billion. So, again, this is good news, I think, for something like XPR. Now, is XPR going to be a dominating player in that space? I don't really think so, because I think it's going to more so play a role in the payments market, global trade and finance. However, you know what? If anything, this could be a good addition nonetheless, in my opinion at least. Now, if we take a look at XPR, sometimes people like to say that, oh man, in order for this to do well, XRP or XLM has to do bad. Well, I disagree with that. I do believe that by XLM and XRP gaining more attention, more hype, and as it does a lot better, I think it's only fair to assume that if anything is good news for something like XPR, because I think a lot of the hype is going to eventually trickle down to something like this. Some people seem to think that, oh man, take a look at the Ripple and SEC case allegedly dropping and allegedly being no more. Oh man, this is so good for XRP, but it's bad for XPR. No, I disagree with that. I believe that if the market leaders, much like Ripple and Stellar, which they are in this space, in my opinion, let's say they do good, I think it's only going to benefit something like XPR. It's like, for instance, if Bitcoin does well, Ethereum does well, I think it's only fair to assume that Solana does go along with the ride. This is just in theory. So I don't see why it's any different here. Keep in mind, the payments market is currently valued at over $2 trillion. The global trade and finance market is predicted to reach up to $5 trillion in value by 2028, according to Mordor Intelligence. So I don't view this as something that, hey, it's a market that's going to be oversaturated. Nah, I disagree with that. There's not even that many dynamic competitors to begin with. Keep in mind, there's, of course, Ripple, aka XRP, Stellar, aka XLM. They're going to be 1 and 2. And if you think about it, what's number 3 and number 4? Now, number 3 is arguably XDC. Number 4 is arguably XCN currently. Now, number 5 or number 6, it's a toss-up between, of course, XPR, which we're talking about as of right now, or ZBCN, aka the Sebek network. But if you think about it, who can name a number 7, 8, 9, and 10? You know, the market, even despite being very massive, at least the markets that it's focused on, it doesn't have that many dynamic competitors. Now, some people may be wondering, okay, that's kind of weird. Why? Take a look at the DeFi market, the NFT market, which has a bunch of competitors. Why does this one not have that many, at least notable ones, right? Or should I say famous ones? Now, I think the reason for that was because of the Ripple and SEC case. Back then, there was a lot of FUD, a lot of fear, and I think naturally, as a result of that, a lot of developers were a little bit apprehensive to enter into a space which they probably thought that, okay, this market could be huge, at least in theory, but then the reputation, the optics aren't the best. I think they probably just decided to leave, not focus on this, and then focus on AI projects, blockchain gaming, DeFi, NFTs, whatever the case may be, which is why I think we didn't really see that many competitors pop up when it comes to this space, which, if anything, is actually a blessing in disguise, because now something like XPR could really pretty much solidify itself, right, as being a top 10 player within the space, which I would arguably say it already is, but I think, let's say during a fully fledged bull run, it's really going to solidify itself as being one of the mainstays when it comes to the space of payments and global trade and finance, which is why I do like it. Now, keep in mind, according to Crypto.com research, there's currently over 600 million crypto owners. That's more than ever before in history again. So if you think about that, this bull run could be very amazing, not only just for XPR, but potentially for something like Bitcoin and also a bunch of other altcoins. So the way I view it is that I think the space could really be amazing, but it's just an only time will tell type of situation, because usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. And the last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year, so 18 months would actually mean around October this year. Now, it's not a guaranteed date, of course. It's just more so of a benchmark based off history. Of course, we can't tell the future, at least I can't. However, I can take a look at the past. And again, this has pretty much been the case historically speaking, which is why I'm going to pay attention, even though, of course, there's no exact way to tell, but I'm willing to take that chance. Whether the result is bad or good, whatever the case may be, I'm willing to take a chance on this, because when I believe in the future of Ripple and Stellar, I'm going to, of course, believe in the future of XPR. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. Greatly appreciated. It's Malay the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.